Canelo's trainer claps back at the critics of Canelo Alvarez after his win versus Sergey Kovalev. Anybody who has anything bad to say about Alvarez. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It does help the channel. Now let's jump right into it. There are mixed feelings from the world of boxing about Canelo's victory. 4 division, allegedly champion, and I've already went into detail about that. I made a video from earlier where ESPN Deportes lead host for Elos Lopez was criticizing Canelo, saying he's picking guys that are geriatric. He's trying to utilize every advantage, and he's been critical, just like Juan Manuel Marquez, Nacho Beristain, and the list goes on. Eric Morales. There's a ton of guys that are legends in Mexico. Now, after this recent criticism, and Kovalev's video yesterday, I guess the pressure got too much. So Canelo's trainer has made a public PSA. He says, and I quote, "First of all, I want to clarify as a coach and manager of Saul Canelo Alvarez that we do not dehydrate anyone or fix or buy fights or opponents. We have always adapted to the terms of the opponents, and even with Floyd Mayweather, we accepted this agreed upon weight of 152 pounds. It seems that there are dark intentions to discredit our fighter and, more than anything, try to minimize his achievements. As true fans and as Mexicans, we should be proud that at this time the best fighter is Mexican." End quote. Now, first of all, the Mayweather name drop was random. Like, what does Floyd have to do with Canelo? Floyd is retired and he's not being criticized, and people are saying his fight looks staged. Second of all, people like myself said the fight, initially when it ended was odd. Kovalev not throwing any power. He looked like 10% of the fighter we've ever seen against any big name. All of a sudden when he fights Canelo, who happens to be moving up, and they build it as a 4 division fight, supposed to be the super risk, but the people didn't buy into that. And the reason I know is because he had less than ticket sales. He took a backseat to UFC 244. He didn't have the biggest event. So like I told you, the walls are closing in for Canelo Alvarez, and it seems like Eddy Reynoso is kind of having a pity party because the criticism is mounting. I don't even know how Canelo is going to bounce out of this. I think it's possible, but I don't think it's likely. Reason being, just look at it. Just who's he going to fight? If he fights with no stipulations, Artur Beterbiev, Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, head up, then, that's his best opportunity. But if he's looking for a Triple G, which is the rumor, part 3, he just said Triple G looked horrible in his last fight with Derevyanchenko. The world knows Derevyanchenko really won the fight. So what's the basis? Who wants to see that fight at this point? Golovkin, by May of next year, when Canelo plans to fight, will be 38 years old, and he didn't look good in his last fight. Same thing with Billy Joe Saunders. These are the 2 names. So, it's going to be a rude awakening for Team Canelo, I'm telling you. And it looks like the pressure is already starting to get to him. The fact that he even responded, because at this point, if you're not fixing fights and stuff like that, people have said for a while that Canelo has help from the judges and Golden Boys protecting their cash cow, stuff like that. So the fact that they never really responded before, and now all of a sudden they're responding and saying, hey, we don't fix fights, and it just, to me, that's not a good look, and it shows you the mounting pressure for Canelo And again, it sounds like Team Canelo is having a pity party. Listen, it's very simple. Fight somebody like Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter. Perfect example. You could be the biggest hater, and there's nothing you could really say to take away credit from the winner. Errol was fighting Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter fought the way he always fought throughout his career. Shawn Porter has a great resume, realistically better than Errol Spence's at that point in time. Fighting Kell Brook, Keith Thurman, Paulie Malignaggi, Danny Garcia, Adrian Granados, Adrian Broner, you know what I'm saying? So what could you say to the winner, which was Errol Spence, in that fight? Close fight. Errol secured a much needed knockdown to, shift some of the cards, and he won a close fight. Canelo's fights aren't like that. It's like Amir Khan fighting at 155 where he has no business fighting. The bottom line is this. Amir Khan, we'll use him for an example. It's like Canelo's team is trying to act and play the role like they can't understand. The bottom line is this. Who would give Jermell and Jamal Charlo were at 154 at one point in time. Jamal Charlo knocked out Julian J. Rock Williams, who is now, years later, a unified champion, right? If Amir Khan moved up to fight Jermell or Jamal Charlo at 154, let alone 155, who would give Jermell or Jamal credit? Period. And that, what if Jared Hurd, see, the bottom line is it's easy to see. This is what they do to black fighters. If Jared Hurd fought at 154, Amir Khan, who's going to give him credit? Knowing Khan's been stopped by Danny Garcia at 140 and been stopped at 135 and had a year plus layoff when he fought Canelo, and didn't even look good versus Chris Algieri's fight before that. Who would give Jermell, Jamal, Demetrius Andre, Jared Hurd, Edislandi Lara, J-Rock, any of them dudes some supreme credit for knocking out Amir Khan? So bottom line is Canelo's team, they're faced with criticism, and it's rightful at this point because it's the same bait and switch trick that they keep doing. Now, one thing that Eddy Reynoso said that I found extremely odd is he says there's dark intentions to discredit Canelo and minimize his achievements. But then he says, as true fans and as Mexicans, we should be proud that at this time the best fighter is Mexican. And, in the world of boxing, I'm just curious what him being Mexican or the team being Mexican has to do with just the boxing. Like, first of all, nobody's doing anything towards Canelo for any other reason other than the fact that, it's a weird statement. To me, it sounds like a dog call, like a dog whistle to get fans. And, this is not the first time Eddy Reynoso has played this hand. When Eric Morales was criticizing Canelo before the Kovalev fight, before the outcome, he says, this is disappointing to see from my compatriots. So basically my countrymen, a fellow guy from Mexico. So I don't understand why Reynoso keeps mentioning we should be proud as Mexicans, and at this time we should be proud that the best fighter is a Mexican. Now, first of all, everyone's not Mexican. Second of all, that has nothing to do with what Canelo is doing. You could be prideful. You can, rep the flag and celebrate somebody, but it has nothing to do. It's almost like a defense mechanism, if you will. It's a defense mechanism and a dog whistle that it's almost like he's trying to say, hey, this is a fellow Mexican, get him. Like, telling fans to, no matter what Canelo is doing, you need to defend what he's doing. Be prideful. But that's not how boxing works. If you're doing right by the people, like, you don't see anybody else using this card. Like, let's say Dillian White, let's say there's a black fighter like Dillian White fails a drug test. You don't see people saying, hey, as we as blacks, we as black people need to get behind Dillian White during this time of criticism. You get what I'm saying? because if Dillian Whyte failed a drug test with Diana Bowl, then he gets the wrath of whatever comes to it. But it's almost as if, like I said, like a dog whistle, and like almost like a code word, and that we're hearing from Reynoso, where he's saying, hey, we shouldn't be criticizing Canelo. But that's not how that works. You know, for some fans, or maybe racist fans, or whatever the situation is, they might defend you through thick and thin. But just because you're from Australia doesn't mean that people are going to get behind Jeff Horn if they don't think he could beat Terrence Crawford. So to me, that was a really misplaced and kind of a weird comment. It was odd that he even said that. He says, as true fans and as Mexicans, we should be proud that at this time the best fighter is Mexican. Like, it's like, where did that even come from? You get what I'm saying? But needless to say, the walls are closing in for Canelo Alvarez. It's going to be interesting to see what his team decides to do. And, you know, unfortunately, just a little bit of forward thinking, I see it being rough, because if he fights Billy Joe Saunders, that's not really a big fight in America. You know, Billy Joe Saunders fought on this YouTube card. They were booing him. He didn't put up his strongest performance. Some of his performances against lower opposition are inconsistent. So even if he fights Billy Joe Saunders, yeah, he's undefeated. He's a champion at 168. I just don't feel like at this time this is going to be a huge fight. Same thing with Golovkin. So we'll see what Canelo decides to do, but it doesn't change anything. And the other thing that was really, that comment was really weird to me, about as true fans and as Mexicans, we should be proud that at this time the best fighter is Mexican. So people need to disregard all the other stipulations. That's what it sounds like. Like, disregard all the stipulations, all the catch weights, all the rehydration clauses, all the catching people at certain points in their career, and just be happy. Like, that doesn't make sense. And the funny thing that about that statement is there's a vast majority of people that are descendants of Mexico, like David from ESPN Deportes, Juan Manuel Marquez, Eric Morales, and they're all saying the same thing about Canelo too. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, it doesn't make sense. It's not any one ethnicity or anything that is noticing Canelo's patterns and Canelo's team's patterns in Golden Boy. So it's not going to be that easy to just sweep it under the rug. Like, people have identified the problem, and Canelo's the only one that can solve it. Stop the rehydration clause, the catch weight, fight someone closer to your age with momentum that's looked good in their recent fight. Kovalev was almost knocked out, and then now he's doing interviews saying, man, it was impossible for me to win. What does that sound like? That doesn't sound good. It was impossible for me to win, and I only did it for money. If you bet on me, you're an idiot. You're an ignoramus. Your loss. You shouldn't have been greedy. So, you know, the damage control is alive and well. And to me, the fact that Reynoso even had to respond to it when him and his team have been criticized for Canelo politics and protecting the cash cow antics for years, it shows that it's really reached a boiling point. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.